Hello and welcome back to Tinker Talks Guns. This is not a bonus video. This is a commercial. Because I do mention in every video my Patreon supporters, the need for them, and my gratitude for them, as well as channel benefactors that donate ammunition, the use of their facilities, even entire guns sometimes, not to mention all the guns that they let me fire and show and tell you about. But there is another way you can help the channel, and that's by supporting my business. The last 30 years, I have been a maker of handmade custom knives and swords. After 30 years of making swords, which, by the way, is brutally hard work, I'm kind of busted. So these days, I mostly make knives. Knives very much like this one. The thing is the bills need to be paid, and I try to spend the money from my Patreon supporters on the channel, because that's what it's for. But I do have to make a living, and some of you probably like knives. And I will be showing knives as I make them on the Tinker Talks Guns Facebook page, because once I've paid the bills, I have disposable income, which means I can do more cool gun stuff and show it to you. So let's go to the tabletop. Currently, I mostly make kitchen knives and outdoor knives. They're a little different. This is one of my 8-inch chef's knives, heavily influenced by the style of William Skagel, a early 20th century custom knife maker who helped establish the custom knife making industry. And in a sense, these are not sexy because I don't go in for fancy magic steels. I use tried and true stuff that I've been using for 30 years and understand well. So this 8-inch chef's knife is 1095 tool steel. It has a slightly convex grind all the way to what's called a zero edge, meaning there is no secondary edge bevel. Because if you use a steel and keep the knife sharp, you're not removing metal, you don't reshape it, and I've frankly been using a chef's knife very similar to this one that I made for myself 25 years ago, and it has never needed to be sharpened. And I actually use knives, so the ergonomics and things are things that have worked for me in real life. And my chef's knives are rather popular. I also make other kitchen knives. I do knives like this traditional puukko, which is an outdoor knife. And these are a traditional knife of the Sami people of Lapland, which is an area that covers several of the northern Scandinavian countries. And this has a wooden liner covering the blade in the traditional fashion. It's very much a traditional style of sheath with the traditional short, stout puukko blade. This one's kind of unusually short. And I use a variety, usually of nice big hardwoods like this burl wood. And I use a lot of antler in fittings because I like that, because antler is cool. This is fairly typical of my hunting knives. The blade's about 4 inches long. Again, it's 1095 tool steel and has the convex grind to a zero edge. I've found knives to be very nice for dismantling game animals like deer and goats. And to blow my own horn, because this is, after all, a commercial for my work, I do not have to touch up the edge in the course of processing a goat or deer. It holds the kind of edge I need for the entire process. And the handle, once again, is antler because it's cool. Also feels good in the hand, and I try to find pieces of antler that are well shaped to feel good in the hand and provide a secure grip. This is also influenced by William Skagel in that the tang, the back of the tang, is in line with the back of the blade and only undercut on the one side. The sheaths for these are 7 to 8 ounce top grain vegetable tanned leather, double needle stitched, and finished, generally speaking, with a carnauba wax finish, which is kind of nice because not only is it a good finish, but you can touch it up with clear shoe polish. And sometimes I get a little more fanciful. This is again a Skagel style construction with the stacked leather and antler, although I do use an antler bolster on this instead of brass, bronze, or copper. This is a hand-forged blade, which I left hammer marked because I thought it looked neato. And the spine is as forged, again with the zero edge and convex grind. And I call this one chonk because it's chonky. And I do like the rustic appearance of hammer-marked blades occasionally in some situations. I don't forge all of my knives because it's not always necessary or appropriate. Kitchen knives, for example, are very seldom forged because it doesn't really add anything. And no, the tang does not go all the way through the handle on the Skagel style knives. It comes to about here. And this in practice did not prove to be a problem for Skagel's knives, and it does not prove to be a problem for my knives. I do notch the sides of the tang so that when the handle is filled with epoxy and pressed in place, it fills those, creating what's called an epoxy rivet. So these are only a small representation of the kind of blades I can do. You can see a lot more on my website and as these pop up on the Tinker Talks Guns Facebook page. And whether they're kitchen knives or outdoor knives or medieval daggers, my design and building of them is informed by their function and use, which I am well familiar with, even in the case of medieval swords and daggers. I sort of made my fame making medieval swords, but as I say, it's physically brutal, and I'm old and broken now, so I don't make very many anymore. So, as I've already said, knives that are in stock typically appear on the website. They are first posted on Facebook, either on my knife making page or now on the Tinker Talks Guns Facebook page, and you can find them there if that's the thing that interests you. And it's a way of helping the channel that also gets you something cool and helps pay my bills. If you're inclined, thank you. If you're not, thank you for sitting through this blatant commercial. So, thanks to my Patreon supporters and channel benefactors and the rest of you for having the patience to watch this. It might be a big ask to hit like on this one, but it'll help the channel. So, I hope this finds you well. Stay safe, take care, and we'll talk to you again real soon.